Hey everyone, it's Luca here at CDMI in Las Vegas with my mix lab. Today we're going to talk about limiting and specifically FabFilter Pro L. As been requested multiple times, it's probably one of the most popular limiter on the plugin format on the market. Has been used by so many producers in different style for a different purpose, from actually mastering to even vocals. But sometimes I feel that we are not squeezing enough from the potential of this plugin. So I want to take you in and just give you a little bit my approach, how I approach limiting with the Pro L, and also some kind of like tips and tricks how to do a better use of this plugin. Just follow me. All right, as pretty much any FabFilter plugin, they have kind of a similar interface. And I find that it's very intuitive, very clean, easy to read, easy to understand. The Pro L2 is kind of the advanced version after the older Pro L that, I don't want to say limitation, but less function than this. So let's talk about really quick of what is the first thing that you want to look about the Pro L. Well, first of all, if you don't know the plugin well, use the help. Use the help. It's very effective. So a lot of plugins, we kind of get lost to try to understand. We can simply use the help that we offer us. Just go on the website, just go on the manual, just go through the manual. And I think that's a way to avoid to get lost sometimes, and reading it's a good idea. Another thing interesting about the Pro L is one of the few plugins that really do a good job full screen. You can go with this with a Pro L, and it's stunning. The resolution is crazy. So check it out. So full screen, it's pretty good. So you have flexibility. Also, you can go in different mode. You can go compact mode, which is pretty good if you're not using of tweaking, but you just kind of like save your own preset. You not necessarily need to have a full like large format like this. You can simply use on a compact mode, which is cool if you have a multiple plugin at the same time. For me, I like to use the medium, which is my go-to. All right, first, let's talk about levels, what we are looking to see. You have options to go a scale up to minus 16 dB, up to minus 32, up to minus 48. Also, you have key meters, key 12, 14, and 20. Well, for that, do a little bit of homework and do some research, but I find that for me, for mastering, the minus 16 is the best. For mixing, I find myself to get to minus 32. This means when you look at the music, now we're looking minus 5 dB right now, in this case. If we are looking on minus 48, the minus 5 dB is going to be here. So the advantage of do a zoom in and do minus 16, that we're able to see much better how the transient get affected by limiting. So that's why I like to use a minus 16 pretty much all the time, especially on mastering. We can also, which is pretty cool, look loudness meter. So if we work on LUFS, we do limiting for streaming platform, and our target is minus 14 LUFS, we can use this really good quality meter to target minus 14, for example. So right now we are minus 17, we're pushing for minus 14. Eventually, that can be the case, okay? So it's very good. In my case, I stay away from LUFS, as you guys probably know. I like to work on simple peak and RMS level. Again, minus 16, that's our starting point. All right, cool. Let's play some music and let's see what we can squeeze from this limiter. And then we're going to talk about also the advanced function, all right? First, very important, you have an option, which is you push option on your keyboard, and then you push the level up. When you do that, pushing Option on the keyboard and push the level up, automatically you're reducing the output level equal to the input level. Why this is important? Because you wanna listen limiting without getting tricked by loudness. So let's go on a loud part of the song. And let's just simply put this limiter to distortion without changing the output level. Let's do that. So I'm literally pushing 20 dB, reducing 20 dB. In this way, I'm literally pushing 20 dB, reducing 20 dB. I'm able to listen the limiter working without get tricked about the fact the limiter is pushing level up. We can always push the level up with the output level later. So that's a good way to kind of like make the limiter give us back the sound. So now, what kind of decision I can make when I'm able to kind of like make the limiter almost struggle and works hard to squeeze dynamics? Well, the first things that I can do, I can decide attack and release time. So let's talk about attack and release time first. So let's go between transient. When you use a limiter, not a clipper, a limiter, if you have a slow release that's too slow, when you limit the first peak, you risk to limit also the second peak with the release part that is too slow. You want to make sure the release of your limiter allow you to have every peak to kind of reset the limiter and use the attack time to have a more consistent limiting. Let's put this to work. Let's find out. So interesting. So up to -4 dB, I'm able to retain a fairly transparent sound, and I feel that I'm not killing the transient. Now, if I want to limit it more and retain transient, it's a couple of tricks. So one, let's push 1 extra dB. Let's do a longer loop. Let's go here. There we go. Very long attack, fast release. Allow the sound to go through the transient, stop, and do it again every transient. So that's a good way. There's a way to make it even more transparent, and we can use the look ahead. So let's try this, and then let's talk about what it does. So if you bypass the plugin, it's very transparent at the moment. What the look ahead does essentially is it put a little bit of delay where the limiter is essentially reading before translating through that. So it's reading the sound, and it basically tells the attack and release, hey, this is going to happen. I'm getting a lot of peaks. So it's essentially the attack and release time, they're getting ready to deal with those peaks. And the look ahead is a very small latency that help the limiter to predict the envelope and then react accordingly. So what is the downside? If you exaggerate with the look ahead, you start to lose a little bit energy of the limiting and can sound a little bit artificial. Let's do that. And then you can tell from the attack of the transient, you lose a little bit the impact. So check it out. Let's do a very short loop so we can really understand what's going on. So we are getting back a little bit of the low end of the transient. When we go full look ahead, we lose that. I find myself, when I get very transparent, to do a little bit, maybe 0.15 millisecond. So we're doing limiting about 5 dB. Let's bring an analyzer just to check what's going on here. Let me do that. Very simple. Stack like second analyze. All right, so let's look what limiting looks like. I think I can detach this in some way. There we go. So essentially, the goal to have a very transparent limiter that those peaks that you see here versus no peaks here is being essentially shaped in a way that is transparent. You don't feel the difference, but you are gaining all this edge room. You can go a little bit more exaggerated so you can tell. Let's do it. All right, versus. So the benefit between these two parts, we have edge room to make this master louder because now we can push the entire master up. When we have these peaks, those peaks will kind of like hit the ceiling and create distortion. So now, between the two, we need to find something in the middle. This, we are taking the life away of the plugin, and the sound, this is too dynamic. So usually I find myself to do something in the middle. I rarely go over 3 dB of limiting, especially with the Pro L. And if I do it in a very transparent way when it's like a slow, very slow attack. Check if we keep the 3 dB of limiting, but now we do like a fast attack. Check it out. Versus, essentially you're losing the attack in the transient. Now, back on the Pro L, we have some options to kind of like customize based on the intention that we have as far as the limiter, which is a different style. So the modder is the one that I use pretty much most of the time. It's fairly transparent. It tends to retain transient. But if I want to go, for example, very aggressive, I'll go with aggressive one. Check the difference. Let me go through this and you can tell. Actually, to listen this even better, let's go almost distortion. You can tell that each individual style of limiting has a different characteristic. I find myself to use the save for vocal, the bus for individual buses, the modder for dance music, pop, R&B, aggressive pretty much never. The all around, when I have drums, especially percussion, they want to just glue a little bit together. But most of the time, modder to me is the one. Again, I go back, find my 3 dB of limiting. That's how the waveform looks like. I'm pretty happy with that. I recommend don't bypass from the plugin, like from on and off of the actual plugin, do internally. This red dot allows you to do it with no latency. So check it out. Actually, let's go now on the traditional way, all the way to 0, and let's push this level up, okay? It's gonna sound louder, right? Okay, full to 0. If you look the meter, we are hitting 0 dBVU. We probably hit like -4 RMS and peak to 0. Now, if I go on and off, I do from here. I don't do from here, check it out. It's snapped in the wrong way, and every DAW has the same issue. We strongly recommend to do that. Now, I kind of like find my attack and release time, the look ahead, I have the level. Now, what kind of option I have with the transient linking and release? Imagine that you have a tom, and then you have, like, say, like a snare, and then you have a hats that everyone is sitting in a different time. Left, you have a hats, left channel, you have a tom, right channel, you have a snare in the middle. The transient link mode allow you to have left channel, right channel, everything being synced. And same with the release time. So usually I find myself to do a very long release, medium, long transient, and sounds pretty good. That's about the advanced part. Now, it's time to export my master. Let's go a longer part.
La capital, como dice, Pina Records.
Esto es dembow con elegancia. Dime Looney.
No fuimos en dembow.
Looney.
¿Qué pasa? Como dice, Pina Records.
All right, what I do, I need to make a decision. First of all, I'm limiting a master. Most likely I want to work on oversampling. Oversampling is very important. Imagine, well, we can talk for hours about what oversampling does, but if you think when you do double, if you're working on 44, it's virtually you're working at 88. If you're working at 48, you're virtually working at 96. Now you have an option to go really high, and usually on the Pro L, I like to work 8 times, only when it's time to render my audio. During the process, I stay off because we'll hit a lot of CPU. Then when I'm ready to go, I can do 8 times, and I get less aliasing. I don't have like a full annoying folding. It's happening when you have a lot of high frequency that's getting kind of like aggressive and harsh. That's happening from not using oversampling, so you should use that. Now, really briefly about through peak limiting. So through peak limiting allow you to have no intersample peaks and be able to set your output level, let's say at -0.30, and have no intersample peaks, let's say -20, no intersample peaks. Intersample peaks is between peaks, you have samples that are going over, the limiter is not able to contain or retain. So, and then if you look the meter up here, let's play.
Esto es dembow con elegancia. Dime Looney.
No fuimos en dembow.
Looney.
¿Qué pasa? Como dice, Pina Records.
Esto es dembow con elegancia. Dime Looney.
Yeah, we are constantly hitting over 0. So if I use the true peak limiter,
No fuimos en dembow.
Looney.
¿Qué pasa? Como dice, Pina Records.
Esto es dembow.
I set a ceiling. I can set a ceiling to -0.2, and thanks to the ceiling, everything's going to be like brick wall at that point. What is the benefit if I do an MP3 or go on a very cheap and expensive DA converter or headphone or phone? I'm going to avoid distortion. True peak, it's good on Pro L, but there's other plugins that do a better job on true peak limiting. But if you only have the Pro L, I recommend to use it if you go for streaming. Guys, that's pretty much it about the Pro L. Once again, make it yours, but learn about the plugin, do some homeworks, these other things you can see, take the time to understand and be comfortable with limiting versus peak and RMS. That's very important. All right, guys, this is Luca at Studio DMI. Today was all about Pro L2 from FabFilter. I'll see you next time here at Studio DMI with my Mix Lab. Peace.